I'm gonna jump into there's some really special people here who had a massive win. Okay. One of our, coaching students from this program, they just closed a deal and made $56,000, and they did it wholesaling $100,000 house. That just goes to show you can make as a percentage. I think that's a 50% assignment fee, is it? Cindy, can we interview you a little bit? Hey, Cindy.
Hi, sorry, I had my thing muted there. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, no worries. So, did you guys just made 56 grand on a wholesale?
We did. Actually, it
Wow.
was pretty freaking exciting, not gonna lie.
Congratulations. And
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, what was the value of the property? How much did you wholesale it for? What was the price?
So we wholesaled it for 150,000 and it was appraised as is at 185,000. So we left $35,000 on the table for our ultimate end buyer.
Can I unpack that for one sec? So, for anyone
Sure.
listening, they were able to make $56,000 on. They got the house for $100,000. They wholesaled it for 156,000, or is that right?
150.
$150,000. So you made a $56,000 assignment fee, and then the person who bought it from you still got it below what it was appraised for, meaning that the buyer, the flipper, made $30,000. You could have actually made a 50, 60, 70, and 80 something, $86,000 assignment fee on $100,000 property. That's amazing.
That, that's true. But we've always kind of run on the principle of creating wins for everybody. Plus, we're not in the real estate business; we're in the relationship business. So we wanted to make sure that we gave the seller an exit, and we gave our buyer some profit on the table for them to jumpstart their plan.
Right. And that's why I always say wholesaling is the most heart-centered business, because for it to work, it has to be a win, win, win all around. You have to be winning, the seller has to be winning, and the buyer and whoever buys the property. So the people who bought the property, they're dear friends of mine, and we're all kind of like family. They've been in this network forever. How much are they going to sell the property for after when it's renovated?
So when we initially got the house under contract, we got it under contract for what the buyer needed to exit with, with some dignity, I guess you could put it that way. Then we had it appraised before we really, like before we removed our conditions, and that's when we realized how much of a spread we actually had. So the as is appraisal was 185, and the after repaired value they gave us a range, and so it went from I think 325 to 350 because it would depend ultimately at the type of finishes that the flipper is gonna do. So
Right.
we marketed it actually based on a $330,000 ARV because we wanted to be conservative. But again, we're working the numbers as if we were to do the flip ourselves,
Right.
because we also do that. So
So that's amazing. And you're a pretty advanced real estate investor. So, the majority of people that want to get into wholesaling, a lot of them they want to get experience and they're just getting started. And so there's two types of people I like to teach this to is beginners and then advanced people. But advanced people like me and you, when I started this, I had a lot of experience. They tend to have a lot of ego and they think they know it all. And they don't think that, and I'm not saying this is you, I'm just saying a lot of people come at it that way, and that's how I came at it. But this is a unique strategy because I don't know if you're like this, but because I know you have a flip going on right now. When I'm doing flips or I'm doing real estate investing, all my capital is tied up in the deal. And then I have to wait till that deal is done to sell the property and get paid. So for somebody who's well on their way, this is another way to generate cash flow in your business when you're in the middle of other types of real estate investments or to find your next investment property. So it's kind of an extension. So can I ask you a question? How much money did you have invested into this deal?
Not much. It was the cost of the appraisal. So I think that was a $450 appraisal because we had the double appraisal, the as is and the after repaired value appraisal. And then we had to drive out to the location, which was a better part of an hour from where we live. Not a whole hour, but good trip there and back. And we made 3 trips out to the property.
Okay, so you invested for say $1,000 maybe max, like with all the road.
Yeah, definitely less than that, but sure, we can use that for round numbers.
Okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT something. Okay, just give me 1 second here. I want to do the math on this. So if I invest oops, if I invest $1,000 and I make $56,000 of income, what is my return on investment?
Should be like over 2000%.
Yeah, I kind of, so it's just calculating 5,500% ROI. Like that's better ROI than cannabis. I just had to tie it back to the
Might
conversation.
need to smoke a bit of cannabis to just wrap your head around that.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, if that's how it's gonna be, I want whatever you're smoking. No, I'm just kidding. So question for you. So you drove out to the property 3 times. That would mean that for every time you drove out to the property, you made what, 15,000, $17,000 just for going to the property every time?
Pretty much, yeah, about that. That would,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
awesome.
it was great. It was really quite textbook, and we actually did a double close on the project as well. We didn't do an assignment, and that's something also that we'd learned about. Because you want to be able to meet your ultimate end buyer where they're at and whether or not they can or they want to get financing for the assignment fee. So we did a double close. So I guess reality is if you say how much we're into it for, you have to factor in the fact that we had to pay for 2 lawyer transactions. And so that worked out to $3,000 in
Wow.
lawyers' fees we paid.
Wow. That's amazing. So what you're talking about is you actually wanted to sell it for a little bit more to your a double close. I don't want to get too much into the details and confuse everybody, but basically it's just another way of wholesaling. I suggest people don't double close because it kind of puts you in a risky position. But because you're a flipper, if you got stuck with the property, you could have just moved forward and flipped it. And so you got it for 100 grand. And Fabian, who's the buyer, he told me that potentially, if the right renovations are done, you could sell the property for $420,000 later. So you literally bought a property for a quarter, 25% of ARV. Now, that is a textbook wholesale deal. When, like, if you go down to the States and you're wholesaling in the USA, people are trying to buy properties at 30 cents to 50 cents on the after renovation price. So this is a home run in every single way.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And these types of deals, they're available out there. It's just it's just a matter of finding the right opportunity. This place could not have been listed on the MLS the way it was sitting. So that's the kind of property you need to find.
Absolutely. You know what? I see people asking questions in the chat. Do you mind if I open it up and whoever wants to ask you a few questions, do you mind sharing some knowledge with
Sure.
everybody?
Yeah, you
Awesome.
bet.
And by the way, this community, the way we've done it is so that if you close a deal and I help you close a deal because you're in this community, you have to promise me that you're willing to share the knowledge and help everybody else. Does everybody promise? I want to hear everybody promise me. Put your hands up. Okay, there we go. Who wants to ask her a question? Go ahead, put your hand up. Everyone who's typing stuff in the chat, just put your hands up and we'll answer some questions. Now nobody has a question. Adrian, I'm gonna call you because you typed a question, so let's hear you ask it. And your camera's got to
Hey,
be on.
thanks. So,
Your camera's got to be on if you're asking questions, by the way.
okay, I think mine's on.
Do you know how to
Okay,
put
yeah, thanks, Tony.
do you know how to put your hand up so that you're at the top of the screen so we can all see? Do you mind putting your hand up again as well, Cindy? Just so
Oh
you're at the
yeah,
top.
okay,
Yeah.
sure.
I should
Just
have asked you to do that in the beginning. There we go. Adrian, you're first.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Hey, Cindy, congrats on closing the deal there. Basically, you answered my question already. I typed the question and then you said it. I was just asking you if it was an off-market deal and how you found it. Was it through Facebook ads?
so this one was not through our Facebook advertising. This actually was the contractor that we hired to build the fence in the other flip project that we have going on in Red Deer. And so he got chatting to Denny one day and was like, so you guys see the kind of work you guys do here. I think I have a place that might interest you. And so, we actually learned about this property back in the fall, and we didn't pursue it at the time. And then we revisited it in the new year. And Denny reached back out to him to see if the property was still available. And then, yeah, and then, like it all came together. I saw in the chat somebody else had asked how long from beginning to end. So this is like one of those things where we learned about it quite a long time ago, but we didn't take action until I think it might have been March when we started conversing with him again. And then we had it under contract for I believe we had 8 weeks from when we had it under contract, but we had 8 weeks to release our conditions. And then closing was supposed to be July 30th, but we knew that he was going to be open to closing sooner because his tax bill was coming up. So we knew all these things, but we also wanted to give wiggle room for the potential end buyer in case they needed more time to do their own due diligence. And then in the end, we ended up closing early. He didn't have to pay his next tax bill. He got a credit back from the tax that he'd already paid for 2025, and we closed a month and a half early. So that was, good for the end seller for sure, or the original seller. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, Adrian.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So you did get in contact through the contractor, so that was easy enough to, make initial contact, right? So
Yeah.
how would you even go about that if you didn't know that person? You just go knock on the door, or like,
No, you could do that. That's called driving for dollars, essentially. And you see a dilapidated house, and you can pull title, get the address of the property, and send out a letter. We've done that as well. It's a lot. It's a lot harder though because you don't really know if they're motivated. Whereas a Facebook advertising, the idea behind that is it's marketing to people that are motivated, right? So
that's
there's
right.
different ways to do it. Tony teaches the Facebook advertising method, but I would recommend that you just tell everybody what you do, because then they might not have a thing, but they might know somebody who knows somebody, and you get referrals that way as well.
I see. Yeah, I tried that whole try to get look online, get the title, and then you got to skim it, and then you get the address, and hope to God that they live there and they're not renting it out to somebody. That could be just a long waste of time too. That's why I'm entering with Tony right now, and you
Yeah.
get the Facebook,
So can
Yeah,
I
it's
social
better.
media.
can I
And
jump
it's
in for
targeted.
1 sec? Can I jump in for 1 sec? So I've done all of the strategies, door knocking and all that. And like Cindy said, the best leads are warm leads that take action, and they basically book an appointment with you when they click on your ad, they give you their information. Now you know their interest level. So when you're getting started, the best way to generate momentum is through Facebook paid advertising. You're going to get leads coming through. They're going to be signing up, wanting an offer on their property. But a byproduct of that, this is all about creating momentum. A byproduct of creating that momentum is that you're going to be in your marketplace, and word is going to spread just like it did here because they're already out there doing it. They got in, because when you're out there doing it and making offers, you're talking to everybody, and so now leads are going to start coming to you from all different angles because people know what you're doing and you're advertising yourself. So anybody who's looking to get started in real estate, I always say this is the best foundation to build upon, because you're going to build your network out just through being in that market in that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
and use the scripts, because Tony provides lots of scripts that you can use for texting or calling. And we would review those frequently before we would have conversations with this ultimate, like with the initial sellers, so that we were positioning things correctly. So it's great to have the scripts as a template to work from.
Okay, that as well. You say the scripts. I'm going through the modules right now, and they said there was going to be a link for scripts there, and there wasn't. So I don't know where to find those at all. But I have been trying to write my own. So you got to do what you got to
Don't
do right
reinvent
now.
the wheel. Tony's got it all wrapped up
I
for
gotta
you.
find it then.
Well, Adrian, can you make a post? We want to make sure everybody who signs up is supported. So just make a post in the Facebook group saying, "Hey, where can I find the scripts?" And tag me and Shamir, and we'll make sure you get guided to that area properly.
Great, thanks, Tony,
And
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 thank you,
and,
Kathy, for answering. Or Cindy, sorry.
Yeah, you bet.
And our aim is to hold your hand every step of the way. So once you get the scripts, let's role play them. So I'm here to support you, and that's my specialty is speaking to the sellers. Cindy, I'm incredibly like proud of you guys because you never came to this call and even role played. I encourage everyone, we should be role playing more, we should be getting into the scripts better, but you just self-actualize. Like you took action. There's people who have gone out there, they sign up to our program, they never come to the coaching calls for help, and then they're getting deals because they're just taking action based on the videos. And like you could do it just from watching our videos. And I find the people that do the best are the ones that do the most work independently. However, we're here to support you every step of the way. You want to answer another question?
Sure.
Aditya.
Hey Cindy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can.
Awesome. It feels like I'm seeing your interview, or your face for the second time. Is this because you? It seems like you've done multiple deals.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I've done
Sorry.
multiple.
Yeah, is this your second deal in like a month or so? Because I feel like this is almost like a deja vu moment for me.
Well, we have a couple of different things going on. We have a flip
Okay.
project that we have that's currently for sale. We
Yeah.
have a condo that's for sale, well, sort of for sale, like we're doing it privately. And then we were doing some marketing on the wholesale deal, and that's now closed. So it could be that you're
Nice.
seeing that, all that content. Yeah. Plus, I've been sharing
Okay.
quite a bit on what I'm doing with AI for real estate
Okay.
investing as well. I've been doing a lot of work with
Okay.
that. So
Okay, got it. So here's my question. I think like with the calls that we attend each week, I'm getting more and more acquainted with having conversations with sellers. I think my question is like I missed part of your conversation with Tony, but how did you go about finding the end buyer in your case? Like what was your process like?
Right here in this
yeah, right
community.
here.
Right here. So when people join this program just to get access to our buyers list. Now get this. The
Yeah,
buyer who bought this property, he
yeah,
signed up to become a wholesaler just so he joined my $15,000 program just so he could sit in the group and poach deals out before we market the deals to the buyers. He's a
okay,
he's a member of the syndicate, and he joined the syndicate, and he's like, you know what? I want to get deals before they even go to the syndicate. I'm going to join Tony's
yeah,
program. And he sits there and he watches these. There's so many people like that on these calls.
right.
You don't even
Okay,
know.
so that's
We're making a recording right now. If you had a
yeah,
deal we were talking about, they watch it when we post it in the group, and they may reach out to you and make an offer.
right. That's actually pretty affirming because it seems like if the deal is good, if the numbers make sense, then there are buyers for the deal in this community. So
You know
that's
what?
good to
As
know.
a matter of fact, next week I'm gonna ask him to come join, and I'm gonna bring him on and interview him so that he can give you guys his buying criteria, and then you guys
Yeah,
can go out and find deals for him.
yeah, that would be really helpful. Thanks, Tony. Thanks,
Yeah,
Cindy.
man.
Yeah, you
Cindy,
bet.
I have a question for you that I forgot to ask earlier. So you made $56,000 off a wholesale deal, investing $1,000 into it, which is 5,500% return on investment. Um, my question is how long once you were under contract, how long did it take to assign that deal? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
So it was probably like 2 weeks, but we were only soft marketing it because we didn't want to go full on with our marketing until we got the appraisal back, right?
Okay.
And because I have marketing that I put together, but I would say, like, I think it was 2 weeks. Denny's on the call. He's better with dates. Like he might remember exactly, but it was like for sure right around 2 weeks.
Okay. I just have a question for ChatGPT. Okay. If I invested $1,000 and I cash collected $56,000 back in 2 weeks, what is my annualized return on investment? It's thinking. I love ChatGPT. This is awesome. I literally do this every call. That's 143,393 return on investment annualized. Just think about that for a second. When you think about wholesaling and you compare it, I always make the comparison to every other strategy. What other can anyone name a strategy in real estate where you can make 143,000% return on investment? If anyone can think of one, I'll give you $1,000. How about that?
I think it's really important that you understand the numbers of your deal so that you can speak to it clearly, and understanding what the value is on a flip. But you need to know what your exit is. So to Denny's point, when we were discussing how to market this, and thank God for him pushing me on it, because I wanted to market it for $110,000. And he was like, no, we could get more. And this was before the appraisal even came in. He's like, you can't understand what other people's motivation is. So what he was talking about is, don't make the decision for the end buyer what their exit's going to be. So I used the AI to help us strategize on exits. So we did 3 exits in our marketing. We did flip, we did buy hold, which would be the BRRRR method, and then keeping it as a rental. And so I ran that through the AI and used that to produce a real slick slide deck, which is dynamic, that I created. And then I started to soft market it. And then once we got the numbers back from the appraisal, I went in and I updated that. And it was a really easy way to share with people, because I could just send them one link to the slide deck and they had the details that they needed to make a decision on if they wanted more information. And then we had a whole Google Drive set up with the rest of the details.
Yeah. A lot of times people overanalyze and they talk themselves out of wholesaling a deal.
Yeah.
You can't assume. We do our best as wholesalers to try to figure out what the end buyer is going to see. But, I've had deals where the end buyer wanted to just store his employees in the house and he wasn't looking at it as a flip. So he was happy to get a little bit of a discount. You never know what angle they're going to see it from.
Yeah. You just got to think like an investor, think of the possible exits and apply that to your marketing, but you can't you need to know what you want out of the deal, and then roll with it there.
And technically, I have one other question. Let's say you had boots on the ground. In this deal, you actually went to the property, right? But could you have just sent somebody to the property and done it 100% remotely?
Potentially you could have, but we had the relationship with the seller already. He wasn't a cold contact. And it's funny you asked that, though, because he almost didn't even want to show us the property. He was feeling pretty ashamed about the condition of the property. And so Denny was the one that managed that part of the conversations with him. And, he just assured them that, like, we're professionals, don't worry about it. This is what we do. Shit happens. Yeah. We had shitty tenants, things got out of control. So, but you could potentially send somebody to look at it, for sure. I mean, we did that when we were there. We took all kinds of videos. So our buyers, our end buyers, never saw the property until they essentially had a verbal agreement with us. Then we showed it to them.
Yeah, so there's a lot of properties when we're dealing with distressed off-market sellers who have a distress in their life or in the property. A lot of times they don't want us walking through, like a hoarder. I can't tell you how many deals I've done where I never went into the property. Can everybody mute, please? When you're not talking, please mute yourselves. So, I never went into the property, and the person who bought the property never went into the property until after it closed. So it's possible to do deals 100% remotely without ever even going inside the properties. Yeah, so again, that's pretty crazy. Like what I'm seeing in Alberta right now, at the height, when I started wholesaling, it was 2018. We were in that crazy market that we saw going 2017, actually, I started, and then I really got into it, caught momentum with it in 2018, 19, and 20. And what I was seeing in Ontario back then, like the hot market, I'm seeing in Alberta, which is where you wholesaled this deal. And literally for a 3-year span, I did a deal every week. And every single deal when we were in a hot market was netting us 50, 60 grand. So it is possible to do a deal like that. I'd say a month for the average person. But when it's a hot market, you can do a deal like this every 2 weeks, every week. And the margins are ridiculously high when it's a seller's market. So, yeah, is there anything else you want to add to get people excited and pointed in the right direction?
Keep coming to the phone call, coming to these calls weekly, ask your questions, get into the context of the program that Tony's sharing, read the scripts, take what applies to your situation. And when you're not sure, just ask in the group for your support.
Yeah, so just to recap, I just led a bunch of people. I had a bunch of people in the waiting room and I forgot about them. But just so everybody who just showed up, Cindy just wholesaled the deal. She made $56,000 in 2 weeks with only $1,000 invested. The property she wholesaled was $100,000. So that's like a 50% assignment fee, which is insane. A realtor would have made $1,000 and she went on to make 56,000. And I calculated the ROI on that. That's 5,500% ROI if you put $1,000 in and you get $56,000 back. And then if you annualize that, it's 143,000% ROI. So